Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. So, we're looking today at this episode on how to send data from the controller to the view. So, remember, we said it is not a good idea to want to echo something on the view. You want to pass this parameter student ID from the controller to the view. So, we're going to start by commenting out the echo statement and opening up our view, our view, return view. So we can pass this parameter from this controller to the view by simply attaching the second parameter called compact. So basically, compact takes the name of the parameter as a string, right? So if we say we want to pass in student ID, so we are not using student ID like this. We're just saying I want to pass in this student ID. So it's going to look for the variable that is here and then transfer it to the view. Then we can now, if we save this and we refresh, we'll see that it still says welcome to student details. We need to display the contents here. So if we say let's say H4, we are displaying students with ID student ID. So remember, it's the student ID is the name of the variable that we used here, student ID, right? So if we save this and refresh, it says, hey, we're displaying students with ID 5. So if we go back, we refresh this, we try this, it says we're displaying student with ID 1. We refresh this, it says we are displaying student with ID 5. We click on this, we say we are displaying student with ID 3. So basically that is the main way which you can transfer data or which you can pass data from the controller to the view by calling the compact method. So this is one approach. Another approach is, which I'm going to comment this, another approach is by chaining a method called with. You can say with, you pass student ID and student ID. If we save this, we refresh, we're having the same effects. Now, what is the difference between, what is the essence or what is the advantage of using the with over the compact? Now, you might want to give this variable student ID a different name in the view. For example, you want to call it main student ID, right? Main student ID, or let's say active or selected student ID, right? If we save this, but then it means that if you want to use compact, you must change the name of this variable. Now, what with comes here to help you is it says that send in the variable called student's ID, but give it a name called selected student ID, right? So the name of the variable inside the controller is student ID, but the name of the variable inside the blade template will be selected students. So if we save this and refresh the page, we see that we still have the same thing. So if we or just undo this and say we have student ID instead, excuse me, and refresh the page, it's going to tell us that undefined variable selected student ID. So basically what is happening is Laravel is trying to look for a variable that has been passed to this view called selected student ID, but it is not seeing it because we did not change the name here. So if we change the name here and we'll say, I want you to pass in the variable called student's ID, but then when it appears on the view, I want the name to be called selected student ID. Now, what is the use case here? The use case here is in case you have a lot of different variables in the controller, but then you want it to appear differently in the view, or you want it to be rendered differently in the view. Maybe you want to avoid conflicts of variables in the view and all those things. So this is how you do it. So you could either use the compact syntax, by which is the second parameter to the view. Oops, what's this? Or you can chain the view method with the with method, which will help you to change the name of the view. So depending on the use case which you want to go for, you're always free to. Let me refresh this so we have a nice, clean, and beautiful page. So at this point, you've seen how we can pass parameters from the controller, from the route to the view from the route to the controller to the view. I'll take a recap again. If you have a list of items that you have a specific pattern, or you want to a pass parameter, for example, you want to say when you type students slash a particular one, maybe two, maybe three, maybe four, maybe five, it means you need a parameter. You need to pass a parameter here. And to pass that parameter, firstly is in your web.php, you can use the curly brace. You put the name or the ID of the parameter which you want to pass. And once you're defining the route, you're defining the link on your views, you can pass in the parameter as a second argument to the route function. So the first argument is the name of the route. The second argument is the parameter which you want to be replaced. Now, you want to pass also the ID or the parameter from your controller, from your route to your controller. And you simply pass this by using by passing a parameter to this function, to the function which handles the particular route request. And if you want to pass also these contents like the student ID from the controller to the view, you can use one of two. You can use either the compact method, which doesn't permit you to change the name of the variable at the level of the view, or you can use the with chaining method. So you can chain it, your return view, with a with method, which will permit you to change the name of the variable on the view on the fly. So hope this session was interesting. The next sessions we're going to look at the layouts. We'll be talking a lot about controllers controllers route. So we're going to look at the views and how are views structured, maybe layouts includes, and maybe a bit of everything and around views. So stay tuned for the next section and the next episode.